Have you ever sat quietly and wondered why you feel like a complete stranger, even in a crowd of thousands? Why your energy comes in overwhelming waves, and why the things others find simple or normal feel like they are slowly suffocating your soul? Society has a very boring, surface-level image of what a creative person looks like, usually someone with a sketchbook or a musical instrument. But the reality of a truly creative brain is much deeper, much more complex, and far more fascinating. Today, I am going to tell you deeply about 8 unique habits and psychological traits that at first glance might seem like flaws or awkward quirks, but in reality, they are solid neurological indicators of an extraordinary mind. If you recognize these patterns in your everyday life, there is a very high probability that you are unknowingly operating on a mental frequency that most people can't even perceive. These are not just empty words. These are signs supported by neuroscience that determine the massive difference between a mind built for stability and a mind built for innovation. So let us lift the curtain on this mystery and see if you also fall into this special category. The first unique habit of a highly creative mind is what scientists call low-latent inhibition. Do you find yourself easily distracted by the faint hum of a refrigerator, the specific texture of a stranger's voice, or a tiny crack in a wall that no one else notices? While the average brain has a filter to block out useless data, your brain absorbs everything. To the world, you are unfocused. To science, you are gathering the raw material for brilliance. You aren't losing focus. You are simply noticing the details that everyone else is too blind to see. The second habit considered weird by society is the incubation paradox, often mistaken for simple laziness. Have you ever had a massive project due but spent hours staring at a wall or researching a topic that has absolutely nothing to do with your work? This isn't procrastination. It's your brain's way of entering a diffuse thinking state. Creative brains require this silence to connect distant dots in the background. You aren't wasting time. You are preparing the breakthrough before the storm. The third habit is a non-linear circadian rhythm. Since childhood, we are taught that early to bed, early to rise is the only key to success. But research proves that highly creative brains often feel a surge of mental activity when the rest of the world is asleep. That deep, heavy silence of the night provides a liminal space where your prefrontal cortex relaxes, finally allowing your most bold and brilliant ideas to surface. If you feel most alive at 2 a.m., it's because your brain is wired to thrive in the quiet. The fourth habit is hyperfocus states. Have you ever started a task and suddenly realized 6 hours have passed? You forgot to eat, you forgot to drink, and you didn't even hear someone calling your name. This is the flow state on an extreme level. When a creative brain finds a spark, it prioritizes that vision over everything else. In those moments, you don't exist. Only the creation exists. This is a level of mental intensity that most of the population will never experience. So far, we have talked about these intense habits, and I am absolutely sure that you are starting to see a reflection of yourself in them. Perhaps you are even smiling, realizing that what you considered your glitches until today are actually your greatest psychological assets. But the things I am going to tell you next are even more mysterious. The upcoming habits are the ones that truly set you apart from conventional society. but they are the massive strengths that define an extraordinary mind. So keep your mind completely open, because the very next point might reveal the biggest secret of your personality. The fifth habit is radical openness to paradox.
Most people want life to be simple. Yes or no, right or wrong. But you are comfortable with two opposing ideas being true at the same time. You find certainty boring and gray areas fascinating. Your brain doesn't look for a single answer. It looks for the friction between contradictions. This is why you are drawn to complex movies, unresolved stories, and unconventional philosophies. Your mind is built to handle high-level complexity that would overwhelm an ordinary person. The sixth habit is apophenia, or the obsession with patterns. You see faces in inanimate objects. You see connections between a book you read and a conversation you had 3 years ago. And you see meaning where others see randomness. Society calls this overimagination. Neuroscience calls it hyper-associative thinking. Your brain is a pattern-matching machine that is physically incapable of not looking for a deeper story in the chaos. The seventh habit is intense intellectual solitude. You don't necessarily hate people, but you find small talk physically exhausting. It feels like your brain is starving for substance. You would rather spend a weekend alone with a complex idea than a night out at a crowded party. Ordinary people think you are aloof or lonely, but the truth is that your own mind is your best friend. Solitude is where you recharge your mental battery so you can face a noisy world that moves too slowly for you. The eighth and final habit is a questioning of the status quo. If a rule or a tradition doesn't make logical sense to you, you don't just dislike it. You feel a deep, visceral need to rethink it. Creative brains are biologically independent. You aren't being difficult or rebellious for the sake of it. You are a natural-born architect. You cannot follow a map that was drawn by people who think smaller than you. These 8 habits are the real identity of a mind wired for high-level creativity. No matter how different the world considers them, no matter if they call it eccentricity or distraction, the truth is that these are the very things that make you extraordinary. If you are reading this carefully and feeling a true connection, it simply means your subconscious has accepted its power. To testify to this identity, press the like button right now and comment unfiltered below. Tell me which of these habits is filled to the brim inside you. Your comment will prove that you are done apologizing for how your brain works. Stop trying to mold yourself into the old shapes made by society. Your mind is woven in a special way. Recognize this unique specialty. Embrace it with all your heart, and let the whole world finally acknowledge the real shine of your extraordinary mind.